Hello and welcome back to HardReset.Info. In this video I will show you how to fix battery drain on SONY Xperia 10 Mark VII. Let's begin! So first of all, let's simply head into the settings and let's make sure we have one setting enabled. And of course I am talking about famous and old good stamina mode, which is basically a fancy term for power saving mode. We can enter it, and now we can see few different options. But before we start tackling with any of those options, the most important thing is here the text at the bottom, which reads that stamina mode turns off or restricts background activity, some visual effects and other high power features to extend the battery life. So if you have problem with your battery drain, meaning that your battery drain is too fast, enabling the stamina mode will help you extend the battery life, so it just doesn't drain as fast. So as you can see, we have different levels as well. For example, we have the stamina level, and here we have two options. First of all, we have the balance power saving, and in here there are a couple of things like internet calling and music streaming may be unavailable and apps may not be out of sync. Dark theme cannot be turned off and screen brightness is slightly restricted. And as you can see here, we have nicer information about what exactly is restricted. The most important thing here is probably the location, which is automatically turned off when the screen is off, which isn't as bad, but if you're really reliant on this type of things, like if you really enjoy Google Maps or whatever, then this may be an issue. And you also have the other mode, which is battery time preferred. And now, device performance for general usage such as scrolling is restricted. Internet calling and music streaming may be unavailable and apps may not be out of sync. Then dark theme cannot be turned off and the screen brightness is also restricted. So basically this is somewhat similar, and on the first glance it's really hard to notice the differences. Like the description is different, but the restricted is like the same. So what exactly is the difference between the time preferred mode and the power saving mode? And the difference is luckily very easy. The battery time preferred is basically more extreme but better for a long standby, while the balanced power saving here is more moderate and it will fit everyday usage quietly better. Now exactly what is the difference? Well, it's once again pretty hard to say, because of course the battery time preferred, for example, will change a lot more than just these four things. Like for example, it will give you the longest battery life, but you will pay a cost. And what is that cost? Well, the cost is, for example, the delays in receiving notifications, like email, messaging apps and all of that. It will also delay the background services, and they can be paused or significantly throttled. And the connectivity when the screen is off might be cut entirely. The data, mobile data. And literally, if you have this enabled, whenever you turn off your screen, your internet cuts off, which is quite a lot, to be honest. It is very harsh for the user, but it does provide with a ton of new battery life. And also the apps that rely on location or like continuous connectivity may misbehave or like lose some functionality. So if your battery drain problems are very big, like you're struggling with your battery for some reason, then first of all I would advise you to, for example, get your battery checked. You can check your battery health pretty easily. Like you can go into Play Store and install applications like the battery health here, and as you can see there are plenty of different applications. I think that this one is probably the best, at least it has the biggest downloads, the biggest reviews, and in here you will see how much battery health do you have, the temperature and all of that info that isn't really normally available to you. And if the issues with your battery are very big, well, then you probably want to have your battery checked. If you still have the warranty, you can probably exchange your phone from some other model and all of that. However, if you have this phone for quite a long time now and your battery is dead, basically, having the battery time preferred setting turned on will help you tremendously. However, if you don't want to lose almost all functionality for the device, the balanced power saving is nice middle ground between the extreme power saving mode and no saving battery at all. I think that's about it. And of course, we can also, for example, set the schedule, so we can go into and set it as based on percentage. As you can see, we have some information. But now, if we set it to, for example, 40%, then this means that our stamina mode will automatically enable itself whenever our battery drops below 40%, which is very good because normally, let's be honest, you don't really remember to manually enable power saving modes, and using that you can do that automatically. And also, this doesn't really mean that the stamina mode will disable itself after you plug in your charger, and then the percentage will go up after the 40%. Instead, you have this setting here, which is turned off at 90%, which is by default enabled. So the stamina mode will only turn off when the battery reaches 90%. Sadly, we can't really change the values here, we can only disable or enable this feature, but still I think it's pretty nice. And of course, if you want, you can always manually enable this, and as you can see, we currently have the dark mode and all other restrictions in order to save our battery. And we also have different color for the battery icon in the notifications panel. Also, if I remember correctly, we should be able to also enable it right here. So you don't really have to go into the settings, you can just go into your control center here and change it and enable the stamina mode through here. And to be honest, that's almost all for this video. However, of course, the stamina mode isn't the only thing you could do. I want to quickly show you that you can also just simply go to the settings. Let us go into the apps, which should be... oh, I missed it, right here. Let's see all our apps, and let's say we have some applications that are very power hungry. The social media apps usually count towards it. So for example, we have this Facebook here, and now we have app battery usage. And now we can also just disable the allow background usage if you want to manually disable some nasty applications. Once again, like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, almost every social media application will try to waste as much battery as possible because they want and they need access to the internet. They need that access to the internet so they can update their feed and send you some new notifications and all of that. And if you don't want to use this, you don't want to have those notifications, you don't want your social media apps to eat all your battery, but you don't want to uninstall them because that would be the equivalent of living under the rock nowadays, you can simply disallow the background usage and you should be good to go. And also, once again, you can pair this with the stamina mode and the battery drain will probably disappear in no time. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you found it useful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. See you next time!